Hi friends, it's Ashley from the Candle Collective, and I'm so excited to bring you a video today all about PR. Two very powerful little letters. My name's Ashley. I like to start businesses and thankfully keep them going. And I share all the highs and the lows and the in-betweens of running a candle-based business, which is my newest endeavor. Newest meaning I've been in it for 3+ years, and it's a whirlwind. Oh gosh, today's video was a lesson learned. But here's the disclaimer. I knew it was going to be a lesson learned. So I feel like I should lay a bit of the foundation first and foremost. So if some of you aren't familiar, PR is public relations, and it's basically working with a firm. Their job is to broadcast to the masses, or their list of masses, basically their who's who list, all about your brand and all about your story and all about your like keywords and talking points and all of these like headline marquee things about your insert here blank business, service, whatever. Goal is to like get these news outlets to kind of like hook, line, and sinker into your business or whatever you're trying to promote, so that they can then have this like filler of whatever article or whatever blog or whatever medium they are filling for said outlet. So hopefully that gives you an idea. And with my background being in marketing, I have written press releases before. I have done like my own kind of like corner of the market with PR, but I've never really like had firsthand experience because I was a marketer. I wasn't a PR person. And most places like have either their own firm or they have, their own department, depending on how big this organization might be. Like it is a big, huge mammoth of the media industry, which is PR. Part of me wanted to sign up for all intents and purposes of just learning about the world of PR. And boy, did I get a healthy dose of it. Let me just tell you that. The other part of it is that I wanted to apply it to some obstacles I've been having with my candle brand, in the sense that I have been so blessed that we have really done well over the last few years, but I've noticed some hurdles that I have not been able to myself get over in regards to reach, to new clients, to new customers, to new markets. And so I was like, you know what? This was 2023 going into 2024. I was like, I am going to look into the world of working with a PR firm and just see what that is for upside and see what I can do before I have different expenses coming down the pipeline in 2024, which is going to be another video because I'm just bathing in bills at this point. With great success comes great reward. And bills, I don't know. I butchered that. I digress. So I wanted to learn by doing, which is exactly why I have this YouTube channel. I don't like to take an easy path. Let's just put it that way. It's the end of 2023 and I had done some, keyboard warrior shit. And I was like, I'm going to find a PR firm. And there was one that I had kind of like been privy to when I first started the candle business. And so I'd still been on their email list. I'd still get a bunch of their stuff, and they got me with some clickbait. I'm not going to lie. And I don't mean that to sound shysty because they're a legit business. They're doing their job. And so I decided to sign up with them. I had a couple of discovery calls. They had an account rep wine and dine me, all the things. And I got to ask all my questions, air all my grievances, so on and so forth. And I was still kind of on the fence, and then they brought in the heavy hitter of like one of their owners who acted like she knew a lot about my business, but really she did not. She just quickly did a scan of my website and then came on and was like, oh my God, Ashley, we love you. Here we are. You can see where this is going. So I signed up, and my first problem with the whole experience is I made the mistake of signing up at the wrong time. I signed up for a 3-month introductory period. And just full disclosure, it's about like $3,000 a month. So it's like not an easy bill to swallow. Let's just put that out there. But I was like, I've stored some money aside and I was like, I'm going to invest in myself. And this was the way I was going to do it. No judgments. Don't come at me. Trust me, I've allocated where all of those funds could have gone at this point. I digress. But I signed up and I was put with a account representative who is going to work specifically on my pitch, which is basically the shape of my story and what was going to go out to their entire media contact list, which they do have an impressive media contact list. One of the things that I wish I'd known now, that by doing this, now I do know, is that in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, this is going to get to like writers that are at like all of these big news organizations and Real Simple magazine and Better Homes and Garden and all these places that like I could see my brand in. And that was strike number one on my part, not theirs. Everyone nowadays is a freelance writer. If they were hired at one point to write for said magazine or New York Times or whatever, then that kind of just goes into their like clout bank, where they get to say like, oh, well, I've been associated with these things, and rightfully so. Like, they're not doing anything wrong. Like, trust you me, if I was a writer and I got to write for like a huge marquee name, I'm taking that like accolade with me. So they didn't do anything wrong. But I think in my mind, I had just romanticized it to be like, these writers are like in-house staff, you know, like they're like marinating in the like day ins and day outs of like these magazines and online forums that like I really want to be in. And that doesn't mean that they're not great writers, but just that was learning experience number one. We had started at a really bad time, and I worked with this lovely account exec. She was very sweet, and she kind of immediately brought me down to earth because I was like wined and dined, let's say, with this sales rep who like got me in, signed the contract, do all the things. And then we put this pitch together, and then I was just like crickets. And I had reached out to the account rep who was then handling me for the next 3 months, handling me like I'm a wild tiger, and she is, poor thing, like meeting me halfway where I'm like, where's all of the fluff? Like, where's all the juju? Like, don't people love me? Like, and not that I'm like saying that we're anything great, but I just felt like there was going to be a lot more A, B, C, D, E in happening. And it was just like crickets. So she had to like kind of bring me back down to earth and be like, you know, this is kind of a slow process. And, you know, sometimes brands pick up immediately and sometimes they don't. And then I immediately go down into this rabbit hole of like, I have to change everything. Like, the world doesn't like my branding. Like, something's not resonating. Why isn't it sticking? Like, all of this stuff. And so that was another learning experience that I didn't realize, the identity crisis that I was going to go in, the brand identity crisis that I was going to go in, where I'm like even more so measuring myself up. Like, I thought Instagram was a problem. Good Lord, I was like in with the wolves on that one. So that was like a really hard curve. But then I did start to get like some interest, and she would be like, hey, there's some leads on this master sheet that she would keep track of. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be somebody huge and big? And like, you know, just wishful thinking. And I would go to the sheet. And this was the other thing that I was not in my mind, like fully thinking through, was the amount of product that I was going to have to part ways with. Like, the initial monetary investment, paying the bill, was one thing. The second investment of cost of goods, labor, actual products from the shelves that could be sold, having to go to Tom, Dick, and Harry anywhere in the world just because they might be interested, that was painful. High school romance breakup, painful. And I try not to be frugal in these situations, But I'm telling you, thousands of dollars worth of product by the time my 3-month period was done was just being shipped out, and literally on a wish and a prayer, because there's nothing that I can do to try and like intervene or control the situation or like wiggle my way in to say like, oh my God, please, like anything. Which I just had to sit on my hands. And if you can tell, I don't like doing that. So that was another huge learning experience. And I just felt silly about that one because like I should have known that it was just going to be copious amounts of samples. In case you were like me and just living in la la land and thinking that people would just shop our website and be like, yeah, I think I would just write about this and maybe want one sample. No, they wanted like every sample. So that was, anyway. Ugh, so much to talk about on this topic. I started getting leads in and I was really excited. But then as I started to get the leads in, I was like, no disrespect, but I don't know that this little like small newsletter in like upstate Maine like is going to make sense for like my business. And then I had to start like kind of dividing and conquering and like really being strategic within myself, even though I like worked so hard to get these leads. And then I'm just like spewing out all this money. Like it was just so hard, you guys. And all I did was feel like I was complaining to this sweet account rep who was just like trying to keep my hopes up. And it's just like the most like, you know, you've got this, you can do it. And I'm like, it doesn't seem like we're doing anything. And it was just so hard. What I wanted to share with you guys is obviously a very clear picture of the monetary expense that I experienced. And I was on the low end. And it's just a testament to the world of media and viral versus paid versus promotional, like all of these things. It's just, it never ceases to amaze me. And this is where I just start to feel like down home Ohioan, where I'm just like, oh, see the good and everyone's great and they're out to help and relationships are everything. And I will tell you that this experience like gutted me to my core. Tried and true. And I'm not upset that I did it. I'm not upset that I even have the experience to share with you guys to make your own decision if working with a PR company is great or not. But I am educated now in knowing and expecting things differently. And I just wanted to share with you guys that we were featured in about 10 different media outlets. Most of them were like online news articles. One of them was a TV segment, and one of them was e-news. They did a must-have spring break list, and we were on it. And I'm not trying to discredit any of that or seem ungrateful for any of that. Like, it was a really cool thing to see my candles on a TV segment in Dallas, Texas. Like, that was amazing. It was also amazing to be able to talk about like upside and my candles being on e-news just by itself. But what I wanted to share with you guys is that we netted 0 sales from any of those things. And that is where PR and the kind of like illusion of it all is like a really humbling experience. And thankfully, I knew enough about PR. Like, you really are purchasing things and trying to get in those outlets simply for credibility and talking points. And that's the brass tacks of it all. Like, I'm not like kidding myself when I like say like, oh, we were on e-news. Like, yeah, we were on e-news. Like, that doesn't take away from that. But like, we worked really hard and paid to be considered to be on that. Now they did pick us out of all these other samples that they're sending. So there is some credibility to just our brand standing on itself and on its own, but there also is like hedging bets and who knows who. And it just like hurts my heart because that is just not how we work at all. And I am all about like shaking hands and meeting people and connection and like grinding my way through every achievement that we make. And so it is just so hard to like accept these things. But I'm also like, I don't want to discredit it or seem ungrateful. It's all wonderful, but it also comes with a learning curve. And I just like to share the transparency of it all. We're still going to going to say like we were in e-news because we were, and it's so damn cool. But I just think the transparency of people thinking like, oh my God, they've made it big, they're in e-news, they probably sold out. No, we didn't. Like we're still here. We have since ended our contract with them. We left on very good terms, and they're a great company, and they're doing exactly what they said that they were going to do. Everything that was missed was definitely on my expectation, and I will say a little bit on the sales reps promises, or maybe just not even promises, but just like overarching reaching of saying like, yeah, like this and that and all these things. And it's like, yeah, well, those would probably be like higher paying tiered customers. So maybe don't like name drop all of those news outlets in like the slums where I was, because even the slums was pretty damn expensive. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If you've had any experience with PR companies, like please let me know. I just think it's so interesting, and I will never stop like trying to try different outlets and different ways in which to get my name out there, whether it be organic or paid marketing. No one way is the same. I mean, we all know how I feel about like influencer marketing, but I have a really good experience that happened with that recently. So I'm eating crow on that one. And it was like genuinely like it filled my cup from this entire PR experience. So I can't wait to make a video about that. But I would love to know any insights that you guys have. If you've worked with a PR company, if you're thinking about working with a PR company, maybe you have some questions. I'll try and answer them to the best of my experience or my ability. But yeah, it was just a wild experience, and I had to share it with you guys. So I hope y'all have a great day. If you haven't yet subscribed, I would love for you to come along this journey with me, and let's see what the next video brings, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.